But in this case, the foreperson apparently revealed some information about that one holdout juror.
We were provided information that maybe she wasn't feeling well, and it could have had something to do with deliberations and how stressful the deliberations were. And that's why that person was separate. Now, to be fair, I don't know if that was the one holdout or not. We just don't know.
Still with us, Alexis Rosenberg and Josh Schiffer. Josh, this case, you were saying that you don't necessarily disagree with the holdout here, that there wasn't the overwhelming proof that maybe others perceived by the way it was presented.
I think the state's case would have been stronger had there been more testimony about the specific injuries from the hammer. So many of the media narratives focused on the 30 lacerations. And the defense in this the entire time was that he fell. And then maybe after he fell, Madam didn't do very good things and didn't make very good decisions, but she didn't cause the fall, whereas the state went forward really with the idea that she did assault him with the hammer. I would have liked to see more firm evidence of that. But I'm frustrated with the 11-1. Generally, I push back really hard against the state taking yet another bite against the apple. But in this case, with the 11-1, there's reasons for the state to give it serious consideration.
Sure. Alexis, your thoughts overall on this non-decision by the jury?
Well, I mean, I agree with Josh. I would have liked some more, testimony or evidence to be presented about the injury related to the alleged hammer. But, this is surprising the way that this went down. I mean, why was she able to leave and come back and be separated, and why the bailiff let that happen? But ultimately, the judge did what the judge had to do. I mean, he had to call a mistrial.
Here's Catherine Webster, the prosecutor, talking about the potential domestic violence motive.
You mentioned motive, and it wound up actually coming out through Ms. Hignite's son that the children suspected for a long time that there was a domestic violence history, but they were never able to prove it until the unthinkable happened. Gotcha. And so we weren't able to bring that in our case in chief, but the son did talk about that to some extent.
Second time around, both sides get the opportunity to learn from the first one. Who gets the advantage here?
Generally, it's the defense, but very often the state learns something like they did in this case, that after polling and speaking with these jurors, which you're allowed to do if the jurors are willing to speak with you, they will perfect whatever weakness this one holdout was concentrating on.
74-year-old client, Alexis, would do you believe the state would entertain a plea deal here? It sounds like they have a very close relationship with the family, and the family may not want that to happen. But what about that? I mean, she's 74 years old. If you can get her to cop to manslaughter, even neglect, she does a couple more years in prison. Is that a possibility here? Or given what we heard from the prosecutor, do you think, all right, they're going again?
That I agree. I mean, that would be a good option at her age, to just take a plea, save the money of the state and the time. But it does sound like, from what the prosecutor was saying, that the family probably wants them to go forward with retrying it. They do have that 11-1, so the prosecutors are going to believe that that is a strong case. But I mean, the defendant is definitely deteriorated. I mean, you see those pictures, and that's not such a good thing when putting her before the jury, when you see the jury sees her looking like that. But I think they're going to retry the case.
Yeah, it does sound like that. Josh, that sometimes a loss for both sides and is really, after putting in so many hours of work, is very difficult. In this case, this was a loss for the state. I mean, for the defense, it was a win.
Absolutely a huge win, and the defense is set up, just like Alexis is talking about, to run with a plea for something that saves a lot of resources, doesn't put people through an additional trauma. And you never know. One of the things that we miss here in the true crime real life universe is the civil implications that can be behind some of these criminal prosecutions. We don't know what the son and the family are dealing with from the civil end. As I understand, there are cases against the mom, and without a criminal determination, that may hold up a probate issue or something like that. So there are other factors that we're never going to learn about that could be driving this at all, that are really important for that family. The family's giving that to the DA, and the DA's making a decision. And that's why we elect district attorneys. They have to make those difficult decisions.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of estate they're dealing with here that they're haggling over, but I do know one thing. It's slowly dripping away, especially now with a retrial. The guy that reminded us of Madlock is collecting, and then both the civil attorneys are going to take their bite at that, too. So this probably wasn't good for that part of the equation as well when take in count of the family. Anyway, we will follow it and see what does happen next to Carol Hignite, but right